That's my question. Because often I find that I'm not very logical because of the emotions that I have from my childhood. Like maths to me doesn't feel logical because of my experience of it as a child.
Exactly.
So it seems to me I have to have humility to discover what is logical.
What is logical?
And then the question of faith becomes, don't I then have faith in those three principles? That they will lead me.
Yes, if you have faith in these three principles, that they will lead you to the discovery of all things, then you can always find truth in the truth of everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And connection with God.
Yeah.
Whereas if I say it must be logical for me to have faith in it, then it seems to me I limit myself.
Yes.
Because I must be humble I don't perhaps understand everything that is logical. Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about logic a bit more in detail. The problem with logic is that many times we think we're being logical when we're not. So that's a problem. So for example, if I say to you on Monday, the majority of you who didn't put up your hand and said you were in a job that you really, really loved, you should leave your job Monday. Now, for the majority of us, that doesn't feel like a logical decision. Does that make sense? The reason why is because if I leave my job on Monday, then Tuesday the bill comes and I don't have anything to pay the bill. And then I might be out of a house, I might be out of, no longer have my car, it get repossessed, and I have all of these, what do you call repossession here? Is it the same thing? When something's taken off of you because you cannot pay it. What's that called here? What's it called? And what does that mean in English? Repossession. No worries. Okay, so I get all these things repossessed from me because I don't. So from a logic, what seems to be logic, I'm going, no, I can't do that. That's an illogical decision. But see, for me, I've learnt that our fears don't activate the laws of love or truth or humility very much. So I've learnt that if I do things in harmony with any one of these things, that I will always grow and I'll always change and I'll always be looked after. That's what I've learnt. But if you haven't learnt that right from the time of your childhood generally, which most of us haven't, then it feels illogical to make a choice that's based on our desire. But what I'm saying is that all of God's laws are all logical, but not necessarily appearing logical to us. Can you see the difference? So some things don't appear logical to us, because of, as Mary pointed out, emotions. And particularly the emotion of fear. What I've found myself is that fear causes us to become very illogical. Right? And this is something we do need to address. If the more fear I have, the more illogical I think. But I think I'm being logical at the same time. Because my fear is telling me what it believes is true. So I often refer to fear as false expectations appearing real. It's the false appearing true. Does that make sense? And the problem for many of us is that the false does appear true. Because we live in a world where the false appears true. And we have to work our way through that. That's not the same as truth, because remember I talked about truth being God's truth, what is really true. What I've personally found is that God's truth is God cares for each single person with all of her heart, and therefore cares about every single thing that you do, say, think and feel, and cares about your life, and cares about whether you live, die or are happy or not. That's what I have found. But when we say that, most people go, but what about the logic of this happening around the world and this happening around the world? And I can explain anything that's happening around the world through that belief, if you want to hear it. But oftentimes our fear dominates our logic, and so we start thinking that what is logical is what is fear-based. So we start believing everything we are afraid of. We feel that our fear is real. And it's not. It's just an emotion. But we believe it's real. And what I find in the average person's life is that they believe their fear is real so much that they live their life through their fear because they feel that it is real. They feel they can do no other thing. And that will need to be challenged if you want to be happy.